Some people smile at you while secretly waiting for you to fall. If you're tired of being surrounded by hidden enemies, hit subscribe, because here we expose the psychology they never want you to understand. Some people don't need to openly hate you to secretly want you to fall. Their psychology is quieter, darker, and far more fragile than most people realize. The truth is, your success becomes a threat the moment it forces someone to confront the parts of themselves they've been avoiding. When you grow, when you evolve, when you start acting on the potential they only talk about, you unintentionally shine a light on their own unfinished business. And not everyone is strong enough to face that. Some carry identities made of thin glass, pretty to look at, but ready to crack at the smallest pressure. And nothing applies pressure quite like watching someone else become everything they said they didn't have time to be. They begin to resent the fact that you moved, you tried, you dared. They see you breaking patterns they are still trapped in. They see you making choices they were too scared to make, and deep down, it gnaws at them. It whispers, if they can do it, why haven't you? But instead of turning that discomfort into growth, they turn it into quiet hostility. Nothing dramatic, nothing loud, just small invisible fractures in the way they treat you. The delayed congratulations, the forced smile, the half-hearted praise, the subtle shift in their tone when you tell them good news. You'll hear it long before you understand it. For them, your success isn't inspiring, it's threatening. It exposes the gap between the life they want and the life they settle for. And some people would rather drag you down into their comfort zone than climb out of it themselves. They don't want you to fail because they hate you. They want you to fail because they can't face themselves. The moment you rise, the excuses they've lived with for years begin to lose their power. They can't blame circumstances, they can't blame luck, they can't blame the world. Your progress steals their alibi. And that's when envy turns inward, then outward, then into something sharp. You become a mirror they desperately want to shatter. They may still laugh with you, sit with you, talk to you, but the connection changes. You might even notice them downplaying your achievements or giving you advice that keeps you safe, small, predictable. Because safe means you stay familiar. Small means you stay manageable. And familiar means they never have to confront the terrifying possibility that the only thing holding them back is themselves. There's a very specific kind of pain that insecure people experience when someone close to them grows. It's not anger, it's not jealousy, it's exposure. And exposure is unbearable for people who live behind psychological armor built on denial. Your success removes that armor. It forces them to stand in front of the truth naked, and the truth is cold. So instead of growing with you, they drift into the shadows, whispering disapproval they never dare say out loud. They hope you slow down. They hope you stumble. They don't want you destroyed. They just want you dimmed enough for them to feel safe again. But what they don't understand is that your journey was never about surpassing them. It was about becoming the person you were meant to be. And the moment you realize that, you stop noticing who claps and who pretends to clap. You stop waiting for validation from people who fear their own reflection. And you stop shrinking to protect the insecurities of others. Because some people don't want you to fail. They just need you to. Don't give them what they need. Some people can only survive life by placing themselves above others, even if that above is barely an inch. Their self-worth isn't built on who they are, but on who they believe they're better than. And when someone like you starts rising, quietly, steadily, without asking for permission, it disturbs the entire structure they've built inside their mind. They don't need you to be miserable, they just need you to stay below the line where they've placed themselves. It's a fragile hierarchy, one they've constructed out of insecurity, comparison, and the fear of being exposed as ordinary. And your growth threatens to collapse it. You can feel the shift when they start sensing you're moving forward. It's subtle at first. The small pause before they respond to your good news, the careful way they downplay your progress, as if encouragement costs them something. The little digs buried under jokes. They aren't trying to hurt you, they're trying to protect themselves. As long as you stay beneath them, their reflection stays clean. But the moment you begin to rise, the mirror warps. Suddenly, their life feels smaller. Their choices feel weaker. Their ambition feels abandoned. And instead of confronting that truth, they quietly root for your climb to slow down, What makes this dynamic so dark is that it often comes from people who claim to care about you. Friends, siblings, co-workers, people who know your past and feel entitled to keep you tied to it. They don't openly sabotage you, they sabotage by withholding belief. They won't discourage you outright, but they also won't feed the fire they see growing inside you. They're comfortable when you're predictable, when you're struggling at the same level they are. It makes them feel secure, it makes them feel superior, it makes them feel enough. But the moment you break the pattern, you force them to question the one story they've always relied on, that they are doing just fine. And your momentum disrupts that narrative. It shakes them. It makes them uncomfortable in their skin. They don't want to lose their place in the invisible ranking system they've built. They don't want to confront the idea that maybe they could have been more if they had tried harder. It's easier to hope you slow down than to admit they stopped climbing, so they watch you closely, pretending they're cheering for you, but deep down hoping for just one setback. Not enough to destroy you, just enough to restore their sense of balance. They need you struggling a little so they can breathe. They need you unsure so they can feel steady. They need you behind them so they can feel ahead. It's psychological survival for them, even if it's emotional suffocation for you. And the saddest part is, they don't even realize how transparent their behavior becomes. You can hear it in their voice. You can see it in the way their eyes shift when you speak about your dreams. You can sense it in the energy that suddenly feels heavy around them. They're not protecting you. They're protecting the illusion that they matter more when you matter less. But you were never meant to be someone's oxygen mask. You were never meant to stay small because someone else is scared to grow. The truth is, you don't owe anyone the comfort of your stagnation. And the moment you understand that, you stop shrinking. You stop apologizing for your ambition. You stop dimming your spark just to keep fragile egos from being blinded. Because some people don't want you to rise. They need you not to. But rise anyway. Some people will never attack your ambition head-on because doing so would expose the envy they're trying so hard to hide. Instead, they wrap their sabotage in softness. They use gentle tones, concerned expressions, and carefully chosen words that sound supportive but are engineered to slow you down. This is the psychology of people who don't want you to succeed but can't afford to look like the villain. So they become something far more dangerous, the quiet voice of doubt pretending to be your friend. It starts with subtle comments, the kind that seem harmless at first. They question whether your goals are realistic, not because they care about your safety, but because your dreams remind them of everything they've abandoned. They warn you about the risks, not to protect you, but to keep you from stepping into a level of success where they can no longer compare themselves to you. They say things like, "Are you sure this is the right time?" Or maybe you're expecting too much. And because the words sound gentle, you miss the sharpness underneath. They disguise envy as advice. They dress insecurity as wisdom. They turn fear into guidance. And the more you listen, the more you start adopting their limits as your own. That's how these people operate. They don't need to block your path. They just need to slow your steps. They don't need to tear you down. They just need to make you question yourself long enough for your momentum to fade. The psychology behind this behavior is rooted in one simple truth. They cannot handle watching you outperform the version of you they've trapped inside their mind. They have a mental file labeled with your name, a fixed idea of who you are, what you can do, and how far you're allowed to go. And once you begin to rise beyond that, they panic quietly. They can't show it because envy is a confession of inferiority. So they hide it beneath concern. They become overly cautious for your sake, but never for theirs. Listen closely, and you'll recognize the pattern. Their support appears only when you're struggling. Their encouragement arrives only when you're stuck. They feel safest when you're doubting yourself, because your doubt keeps their world intact. They don't want to lose you. They want to keep you small. They want you close, but not above. They want you growing, but not surpassing, and so, every time you take a step forward, they offer advice that gently nudges you one step back. They may even celebrate your wins, but watch their eyes. The smile doesn't reach the place where the truth hides. They clap for you, but it sounds hollow. They congratulate you, but the words land cold. Envy doesn't always sound like anger. Often, it sounds like lukewarm praise. They won't say, "Don't do it." They'll say, "Maybe think twice." They won't say, "I'm jealous." They'll say, "I'm just being realistic." And this is the darkness people rarely talk about. Sabotage wrapped in softness is far more effective than sabotage delivered as hostility. You trust it, you believe it, you let it in. And once it gets inside your mind, it begins carving out a space where their doubts become your own. But the moment you understand what's happening, everything changes. You stop mistaking their caution for care. You stop confusing their fear with wisdom. You stop letting their insecurities guide your direction. And you finally see that some people don't want to block your path. They just want to blur it enough that you get lost. Because some people don't try to stop you. They just hope you stop yourself. Don't give them that victory. Some people aren't threatened by your achievements themselves. They're threatened by what your achievements reveal about your choices. Your success becomes a spotlight they never asked to stand under, exposing the quiet truth they've spent years avoiding. They didn't fail because life was unfair. They didn't fail because they lacked opportunity. They failed because they stopped trying. And when someone like you begins to rise, their excuses start to collapse. That collapse is what they fear, not you. They watch you grow with a mixture of fascination and discomfort. Every step you take forward chips away at the narrative they've built to protect themselves from regret. For years, they may have told themselves they didn't chase their dreams because the timing wasn't right, or because responsibilities got in the way, or because it simply wasn't meant to be. But watching you, someone from the same environment, the same starting point, maybe even the same struggles, shatter those limitations, forces them into a painful confrontation with the truth. If you can rise, they could have too. That realization isn't inspiring to them. It's humiliating. So, instead of reflecting inward, they turn their discomfort outward. They try to minimize your effort. They say things like, "You're lucky," or "You had it easier," because these lines protect their pride. They rewrite your discipline as chance. They translate your courage as convenience. They recast your choices as accidents. Anything that lets them maintain the story that their life is not a result of their own fear. Anything that allows them to sleep at night. This is why some people quietly want you to fail, not out of cruelty, but out of psychological self-defense. If you fail, they get confirmation that the world is as impossible as they claim. They get to stay in the comfort of their limits without confronting guilt or regret. Your failure becomes their relief. Your collapse becomes their justification. Your stagnation becomes their permission to never evolve. And the deeper truth is that watching someone they know succeed is more painful than watching a stranger succeed. A stranger's success is distant, abstract, dismissible. But your success is intimate. It's close enough to sting. It's close enough to whisper, "This could have been you." It's close enough to make them realize that the life they're living might be the result of 1,000 small moments where they chose comfort over courage. The dark part is that they may still appear supportive. They may still stand beside you, smile when you talk about your goals, even applaud your milestones. But beneath that, there is a quiet tension, a fear that your next achievement might finally expose a truth they're not ready to accept. They don't want you to leave them behind, because once you do, they lose the final excuse that kept them from seeing themselves clearly. It is easier, far easier, for them to watch you fall than to watch their own illusion fall apart. But the moment you realize all this, something inside you shifts. You stop shrinking yourself to make others feel comfortable. You stop dimming your ambition to protect fragile narratives. You stop letting other people's regret dictate the pace of your own evolution. You begin to understand that their discomfort is not your responsibility. Because some people don't hate your rise. They fear what it reveals. Keep revealing. In the end, the people who secretly want you to fail aren't fighting you. They're fighting the truth your success forces them to face. And the most powerful rebellion you can offer is simple: rise anyway, shine anyway, and grow anyway, until their whispers can't reach the height you're climbing to. Rise beyond their shadows.